I don't know about many of you, but there is a book that I read many, many, many years ago that I thought kind of changed the way that I thought about business. And that book is kind of become, I don't know, a phenomenon or something that a lot of different, whether it's coaches, trainers, consultants, whatever, it's a book that gets referenced and used a lot. And the book, you guys, if you're familiar with it, is called Good to Great, and that's by Jim Collins. So let me share with you my screen here. I want to share a quote from the book, and it says this: "Good is the enemy of great." And that is one of the key reasons why we have so little that becomes great. We don't have great schools principally because we have good schools. We don't have great government principally because we have good government. I don't know if I agree with that anymore. Few people attain great lives in large part because it's so easy to settle for a good life. And so when you think about the idea of good becoming or becoming the enemy of great, it begs the question why? Or what is it that keeps good from becoming great? And honestly, I think that boils down to one word, which is fear. I think that fear is the robber of most things that could be great, but end up getting stuck in good. So because of that, I wanted to share with you all a little bit of a different perspective on fear. Now, if you're a client of mine, in January, you should have received this book, which is Courage is Calling by Ryan Holiday. And if you guys notice, I send you a book every year, and I always choose a choose your own adventure book, which means that it's a book that doesn't have to be read linearly, meaning you can pick it up, open it up, and from whatever chapter or page you're ultimately on, you can start reading the book. And in this section, or in this book, my favorite section are pages 27 to 30. And I'm going to read something from this real quick. So the reason that I want you to hear this is because my intention is to change the relationship that you have to fear. That's the whole point of this. So if good is the enemy of great and fear is what keeps us from getting to great, then I want to change the relationship that we have to fear altogether. So here's what the book says. This is on page 27. What we fear, we do not know. Not exactly, anyway. It looms large but distant in the future, or it sits in our stomach, twisting and churning, but nevertheless vaguely and without definition. We fear that something bad might happen. We fear things not working out. We fear the consequences. We fear what people might think. But what, where, when, how, who? That we cannot answer because we haven't actually looked into it. We haven't actually defined what so worries us. Our fears are not concrete. They are shadows, illusions, refractions that we picked up somewhere or glanced at only briefly. Well, that has to end here now. So what I want to show you guys here is an exercise. And the whole idea is that maybe we spend a little bit too much time defining what our goals are and not enough time defining what actually keeps us from achieving them. And the idea behind all of this actually comes from the Stoics. If you've ever read one of Ryan Holiday's books, another person that's really into Stoicism is a personal hero of mine, Tim Ferriss. But the idea that I want to share with you is this. It's called I'm not even going to try to say that. You can read it. The last word is malorum. And it's the premeditation of evils and troubles that might lie ahead. It's the exercise of imagining things that could go wrong or be taken from us. It helps us prepare for life's inevitable setbacks. So what Tim Ferriss came up with, you guys, is rather than setting his goals, he started to set his fears, and he created an exercise called fear setting. Now, the link to this, because I want you all to have it, I'm going to drop right now into the chat box so that you guys can have a link to the exercise, and I would encourage you to go ahead and download this so that you can print it, take it with you, whatever. But this is an, an exercise that I've done with many, many, many clients over the years. And it sometimes seems to be kind of the missing ingredient when somebody wants something really bad, but for whatever reason can't seem to get themselves to follow through. So I'm going to share my screen again so you can see what you just could download there. And ultimately, this has, it's probably going to take you anywhere between, I don't know, 30 minutes to an hour to complete it in its entirety. But the idea is, if you think about something that you really want to achieve, maybe that is, you know, I really want to net $1 million, or I really want to sell 100 homes. And so whatever the goal is, whatever it is that you're after, whatever it is that you've got a big leap to go accomplish, that's what you write in this blank line right here. So what if I was going to net $1 million? What if I was really going to get after it? Right. And so the idea here is that first you define the fear. So in these boxes, what are the fears that you would ultimately have around pursuing such a big goal? Like, what if, or maybe part of it is that, you know, I would work so much that I would never see my family. I would work so hard that I would ruin my health. But in the pursuit of something great, not good, remember, great goes here. I want you to write down every single fear that you have around the pursuit of that goal. Or maybe, as I mentioned earlier, there's been something you've been chasing and for whatever reason you haven't been able to get it. So write that into the blank and then define all the fears that you have around it. This is the part that really takes work. You need to dig deep. Then this section, prevent, means that if we're taking this into let's take, like, I'm going to potentially damage the relationship with my family. Well, if I'm going to go for the goal, right, how would I prevent that? So for a lot of you, it would become like a master of time blocking. If I mastered time blocking, I could ultimately prevent that fear from happening in the pursuit of achieving this goal. And then repair is all about, well, let's just say that the fear that I have, let's just say that I start looking around at my family and realizing that maybe it feels distant or cold, or that I've lost some of the connection or relationship with them. What could I instantly do to start to repair that relationship? Or if it's with your health, right? Same idea. So this has three parts. What's the goal? What's the fear? How do I prevent the fear from happening, but in the pursuit of the goal, right? It would be easy to say, well, I just won't go for it. That's how I prevent it. That's not what the idea is here. And then if the fear was realized, how would I prepare or repair and get back to where I am today? That's the first page. So this is the one that should probably take the longest. The second page is what might be the benefit or an attempt or partial success. So think about all the payoffs here. So you actually achieve the goal, you work through the fear. What are all the things that you would ultimately get? And see, this is something we don't spend enough time on. When you think about like your goals, we tend to focus too much on the means, what we have to go through, rather than the payoff, what we're going to get. And so here I want you to get really clear about what that might be. What is the payoff? What are the benefits of an attempt or partial success? And fill this page out. And then lastly, this is the cost of inaction. So if you decided, no, never mind, I'm just not going to go for the goal, in 6 months, what's the toll that's ultimately going to take on you? What will the toll be in 1 year and in 3 years? So maybe some of you are stuck financially. You're making just enough to pay your bills. And I don't know if you've noticed, but the world is getting more expensive, not less expensive. So if you don't get after this, what's the potential, what's the cost of inaction in 6 months? And so in conclusion, what I hope you guys got out of this is that, one, good is the enemy of great. Two, what holds us back in a lot of cases from getting from good to great is fear. And rather than allowing fear to sit around unclear and undefined. Let's get it clear, let's get it defined, and then let's create a plan around how do we prevent that fear in the pursuit of our goal. If we ultimately realize the fear, what's our plan to repair it? And so everything that you need to do this is all in the chat box. You should be able to download each and every one of the or that entire exercise. And so I look forward to hearing back from many of you who follow through with this and use it as an exercise to what you discovered about yourself and the relationship that you have to fear.